Grow in your faith with biblical teaching from the Word of God. Listen to Pastor Steve Pope from Calvary Baptist Church, Sunday mornings at 9 here on News Talk WSIC, or listen on demand at WSICnews.com.
The following is a paid program and does not necessarily reflect the views of WSIC.
I want to see the kind of industries that are opening up.
This is Local Biz Now with Joe Vagnone, where your business matters. Local Biz Now.
You have to determine what is working, what isn't working.
Joe Vagnone is a respected business broker, helping individuals buy and sell businesses. Joe has successfully owned and operated many companies in a variety of industries. This is Local Biz Now, because your business matters.
Welcome to the #1 live talk, as Joe likes to say, business radio show in North Carolina and the Carolinas. So you're wondering, okay, wait a minute, this isn't Joe's voice. This is Sherre DeMao. I've had the pleasure of being Joe's #1 and co-host for many, many years. This show is almost over, I think near or over 11 years old. And I can say that I've been with Joe the whole time. So very, very honored to be hosting on his behalf. He is taking care of family and taking care of friends for a celebration of life. And his tagline is the real deal. And you know he's the real deal when he cares about the people in his life as much as he cares about small business. And that's what this show is all about. Local Biz Now with WSIC News and Talk Radio. We are coming to you live from the Burner Cigars studio, home of the finest premium cigars and cigar smokers in the world. Great people, premium cigars. Life is good at Burner Cigars, located at Birkdale Village and also a newer location in Denver. Burner Cigars is a proud sponsor of Local Biz Now, and I know Joe is so proud that they're a sponsor that the first cigar is on him. You just have to mention Joe's name. We hope to inspire, inform, motivate, and entertain you as a small business owner or somebody that works in a small business every afternoon at 4 p.m. Thanks to News Talk WSIC. We're live on Facebook, live on YouTube. You can catch us on the station, listening to it while you're working, while you're relaxing, however you want to listen or watch. This show has been going strong, as I said, for 10 years and counting. Has over 875 business owners and community leaders that have been interviewed, and I think over 600 and some YouTube videos that you can watch. Hopefully this one will be a video, because this is going to be a great show. Please subscribe to Joe Vagnone Business Broker channel on YouTube. And as I said, we're live on the book, we're live on Twitter, and the opportunities to watch us go on and on and on. So what is exciting to me about today's show is normally I'm sitting in the co-host seat, and Joe spends the first part of the half hour talking to me and learning more about my business and what I do, and then typically talk about an article I bring, or most likely an article that I have written, and some key tips for small business. But when I proposed Jamie Weatherly as the guest for today, I had a very intentional motivation with that, because I am personally inspired and motivated by what he brings. His book, Unloaded, I'm going to hold it up right here, that just came out June 1 of this year. And I know, because of some of the research that I've done, that addiction, which is what this is about, Unloaded, from addiction, self-destruction to purpose, is a big issue in small business. Now, before we get into the book, I want to take some time to just introduce you to Jamie Weatherly. So, Jamie, thank you for coming and being on the show.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to just be part of anything and get the word out. This is a purpose-driven project, and the more ears and the more voices that we can have, I really believe it's a book that can help save lives and change the world.
Oh, and I totally believe. What some people don't know is the reason how Jamie and I got to know each other is I was assigned something I do on the side because I'm very good at writing and very good at editing. So it's something I do on the side. And we were connected because I was assigned as a structural editor. And I fell in love with the purpose behind this book. I think probably everyone has had someone in their life who has had an addiction problem. And so this book is for those who have an addiction or those who are trying to help those who have an addiction. And so, Jamie, tell me a little bit about jamieweatherly.com and what your business is focusing on with this book being your mission and reason for being. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, jamieweatherly.com is the website that, of course, links to where you can purchase the book, but I also have a series of blogs that go from kitchen stories, which is what the industry that I was in, food service, and there's some motivational stories, and there's stories about recovery that aren't in the book. The mission is, like we said, the target audience, of course, is addicts and alcoholics. It's also, a layer behind that are people that are trying to understand, family members, coworkers, bosses, people that are just curious about the psyche and the psychology of how the brain, how the addict's mind works. I say because I am in that group. This isn't a hearsay story. This is a lifetime of experience.
Yeah. Now talk a little bit about your background, because you weren't just in the restaurant industry. I mean, you ran a restaurant. You were the head chef, and you have a career in that. And also the other thing that I know the other audience you want to reach besides small business and the restaurant industry, and all small businesses, is the athlete industry, because of because you were a collegiate athlete as a swimmer. So tell us a little bit about just why this is so important to you on so many levels, because of the history that you bring. I mean, you've lived this.
Well, I believe as human beings, we're all geared for success. Like, it's in our DNA, and we have a mission, a duty to ourselves to be the ultimate best that we can be. I think a lot of times people get caught up in comparing themselves to others, and when they do that, they get lost. And that's one of maybe the symptoms of alcoholics and addicts. We get lost trying to be something we're not. We get lost trying to please a crowd that isn't there. Business-wise, you lose your identity in your job, because the subconscious purpose of an addict and alcoholic at times is to get lost, because if you don't have to look at yourself, it's easy. We are not happy people. We are confused people. We are lost people. We are incomplete people. And there's countless reasons for that.
Yeah, yeah.
But the connection is that is who we are. And that's what holds us together. And if anything, this book is a giant umbrella of shelter. Like, everybody come. Yeah. Everybody come and get under it. Then we'll figure out the details.
Well, and what I love, and then we're going to be breaking it about a minute, and then what I love is this book is organized in such a beautiful way. It is the inside out of addiction, the outside in of addiction, and then unwrapping addiction. And what's also powerful about this book is you're not only speaking from an addict, as you have been through that yourself, but you also are speaking from many, many others that you saw that were addicted. So you can truly, truly speak on all fronts about this. And so one of the things I'm going to get into when we come back from break, is some statistics I found related to small business and addiction, related to restaurant industry from the American Restaurant Association and addiction, and also related to high schoolers and collegiate athletes related to addiction. And then we're going to dive into your book. We're going to dive into your book, and I can't wait.
All right. Sounds
Looking
good.
forward to it.
Me too.
We'll return to Local Biz Now with entrepreneur Joe Vagnone in just a moment on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Well, it's a story that sounds like it's starting to get old, but it really is the same old, same old. Big time heat and humidity as we kick off a brand new work week. High temperatures in the upper 90s to near 100 for our Monday afternoon. Feels like temperatures over around 105, maybe up to 107. Really dangerous if you're not drinking water, staying hydrated, getting in out of the heat from time to time, and dry as we kick off the work week, too. Better rain chances show up as we get toward the end of the week. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Listen, save, enjoy. The WSIC app, available now in your app store.
Here's your WSIC community calendar. On Thursday, Birkdale Village in Huntersville welcomes Dave Scott Crow's Amusination Academy. An afternoon of imagination, music, and amusement will be on the green at Birkdale Village. Dave's Amusination concert and Pick Me Up Mike are crowd favorites. Come relax and enjoy, or take the stage. It's perfect for the whole family. The fun begins at 4:30 Thursday afternoon, July 18th on the green at Birkdale Village in Huntersville. Langtree Live continues their live music series on Thursday. Alex Key takes the stage at 7 p.m. for this free concert. Event time is 6:30. Bring your chairs early and enjoy the food and beverages that Langtree restaurants have to offer. We'll see you on Thursday evening for Langtree Live's free concert series. Come see the coolest cars, trucks, and motorcycles at Hot Rods and Hops this Friday night at RevFast in Mooresville. This monthly show welcomes all auto enthusiasts with vehicles on display, food trucks, beer from Hoptown Brewing, and the Hot Rod community. Come see old friends and make some new ones on Friday night after 5 at the Late Apex Storage Condos in Mooresville for Hot Rods and Hops. The kids' edition of Battle of the Bands takes place Sunday at Ghostface Brewing in Mooresville. 6 bands, 2 stages, song versus song, set versus set with 1 champion. Come see the future of the local music scene powered by Waves Entertainment. 4 p.m. Sunday at Ghostface Brewing in Mooresville with the kids' edition of Battle of the Bands. The Cookout Summer Shootout Series at Charlotte Motor Speedway gives you your midweek Need for Speed. This 10-race series, night number 9, is on Tuesday, July 23rd on the front stretch quarter-mile oval. Visit charlottemotorspeedway.com for tickets, details, and information. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
Local Biz Now with Joe Bagnone continues now on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC. Local starts here.
Hello. Back here with Sherre DeMao and Jamie Weatherly. I'm sitting in for Joe Bagnone, and this is the #1 business radio show, WSIC, Local Biz Now. So proud to be hosting this today for Joe, and also so proud to be sitting across the table with Jamie Weatherly. I promised that I would share some statistics because as Joe knows, as Julie knows, and by the way, if you're watching live on Facebook, Jamie's website and information about his book is already in the chat, so check it out. But Joe and Julie both know that I'm all about data and research, and so I had to look up some statistics just to see how big of a problem this is, and when it comes to small business, all right? And according to a study done in July 2023, 46 million people, whether they're employees or business owners themselves in small business, are inflicted with the addiction problem. 29.5 alcohol use, 7.3 both alcohol and drug use, and 24 million drug use. So, okay, that's small business across the United States. Now, let's go to the restaurant industry. And it was interesting because I thought, okay, could there be something in the restaurant industry as well? And I thought these statistics were a little low based on everything you had shared with me, Jamie. So I want your input. It said, according to this study that was done in association with the National Restaurant Association, nearly 20% of food service workers use illicit drugs during the last month when they took this survey. Nearly 12% binge drink in the last month. However, then they say 17% had admittedly been diagnosed with a substance abuse disorder. So, and some of the reasons that were given were reasons that you talk about in your book: high stress, irregular work hours, low management surveillance. That's a whole chapter in your book. Alcohol availability. Now that makes sense, right? And peer pressure from coworkers. So I don't know which one you want to jump into first. I definitely want you to talk about that looking the other way aspect, because
Right.
that happens in all business. All
Right.
right. So maybe talk a little bit about that.
Those
and
numbers do sound low.
yeah, they sound low to
But
me.
it also makes me think, is this a kind of survey that people are going to be honest about? And
Yeah.
maybe they called in that day when these surveys were being done. Specifically, I worked in restaurants, and I was sitting here as you were talking about statistics. I was thinking my own personal data, and I think it's hard to believe me personally that I have now worked more years sober in food industry than I did when I was using and drinking on a
Wow,
on a
congratulations.
and it was
That's great.
it
Yeah.
was a daily blackout type of usage.
Wow.
There are people, I call them the normals, that can do things responsibly. I'm not one of them. The idea about turning turning a blind eye.
Yeah.
It's real big in that industry, and it's almost out of necessity.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more about that, because let's face it, every business right now is having a hard time filling workforce, right? Ever since COVID, that has become a problem. And so that certainly lends to it, right? That losing someone, oh my gosh, then having to replace them.
COVID big time, because especially what that did, that's a whole nother conversation, but with pay rates, especially in the restaurant industry, pay rates really doubled in some senses. And one of my favorite things about the restaurant industry is just the eclectic group of workers you have.
Yeah, I love that.
And it's
every
just
walk of
every
life,
yin
every
and
background.
yang, every opposite. They're here for a few weeks. They're here for life. They're here because they love it. They're here because they have nowhere else to go. But there is a lot, and it's not unique to the restaurant industry. I want to make that crystal clear. And I was still in food service, just not restaurants. I love it. I don't ever want it to be I'm mad or blame or don't
No,
hate this
exactly.
industry. But with the hours, with the demands, with the availability, and with a lot of the kind of people that work in this industry, because of the hours and because of how laid back it is, it's easy to get hold of stuff. It's easy to abuse stuff, and it's easy to perform under these influences. As a manager, as a boss, restaurants everybody wants to cut a profit. Restaurants in particular are very hard to cut profits. The profit margin is very slim in this industry.
Right.
And I know it is,
Oh my gosh, the cost of goods is out the wazoo.
yeah,
Right?
you're 10% profit on a year is just, a raging success.
Right.
You buy very high items, pay your employees very high wages and all this, and you also have a limited amount. And I think I might actually be one of the things I might have mentioned it in the book. There's no bench players.
Right.
You have to minimize, you have to maximize. And if you have two cooks show up that are stayed up too late, or they haven't gone to bed yet, but they're okay. They haven't completely fallen over. And I've worked with the guy that would fall asleep and then wake right back up, and he didn't hurt anybody. So you kind of just let it keep going. And
So what would you recommend? Because it's tough out there when you know that if you let somebody go, somebody has to pick up the slack.
yeah,
What would be your first recommendation when maybe what's the first sign when you start to see someone maybe starting to go down the wrong pathway, and what could you do in advance of that?
that's a slippery slope, because with the nature of addiction, with the nature of alcoholism, it's one of those, you can't help somebody that
Doesn't want to help
doesn't want to
themselves.
help themselves.
Yeah, and you talk
But
about that
I
all the time.
think the best thing to do is just brutal honesty
Yeah.
and approach them. And if they have a history and it is documented, as you got to do as a business owner, leave that paper trail, but bring it to their attention that you're aware.
Yeah.
If they are functioning where they can work, that I'm being honest as a manager, you got to do what you got to do.
Well,
I think it's important to bring it up and let them know that this is a problem.
Yeah.
We're not just bringing it up to bring up. We're going to work on this.
So don't turn that blind eye. Address it. Address it.
And it could be the best thing.
It could be the best thing that happens to somebody, because also what that's showing that person is somebody cares.
Yes.
Right? Somebody cares.
And it's good to hear it out loud.
Oh, it sure is.
Other than
Somebody's
your own
paying
voice.
attention and somebody cares. Right.
You can tell yourself over and over again, I have a problem. I have a problem. I remember the first time that somebody introduced me to another friend that I didn't, there was a new acquaintance. Hey, this is Jamie. He's a happy drunk. And to hear that, it was mind blowing in a sense. Now, granted, it took me another 5 years or so to clean up my act, but when you hear this, it pushes it from the back of your brain, up to the forefront.
Well, I'm trying to find something. I'm going to paraphrase this because I didn't tag it like I was planning on. Going back to the peer pressure, and something that you said that I thought was really powerful is you said peer pressure does not cause somebody to use or somebody to become an addict, but it can be the gasoline that fuels the fire.
Yes.
I really loved that statement. Talk about a little bit about that.
Well, my belief, and I've seen it in a lot of people, addiction and alcoholism, whatever category you want to put it in, I think it exists way before the first drink, the first use.
It's a personality trait.
Yes.
I so
and there's
agree
arguments.
with you on
there's
that.
arguments that go just
I
as
totally
long
agree
as
with that.
religion and politics about what category. Is it an illness? Is it a weakness? Is it a choice?
Is it a disease?
And it's in the book. I don't care what it is.
Right.
Again, get under this shelter, and then we can figure all that stuff out. First of all, quit drinking.
Yeah.
That's the best advice.
Or stop using.
Yeah. Peer pressure. It didn't hit me that much. Mine was self-pressure.
Yeah.
And it's kind of...
And talk about that, because I think that's probably very true. And that feeds into the athletes, right? Because I'm going to share the statistic real quick. With high schoolers out of Treatment Magazine talking, athletes were more likely to develop substance issues. Athletes. Powerful statistic, right? Less, and also it was less successful in overcoming that addiction if it was mandated, more successful if it was chosen, which of course you say time and time again in the book. And so, talking about the aspect of self-pressure, man, when you're an athlete, I'm sure that happens. But you were also academically too, right? So I'll let you talk now.
When you're an athlete, you're trained all in, and just you go for it. You go for it. You've got to be the best. You got to be the biggest. You got to be the fastest. You got to be the most. And there's some people that can turn that off, and there's some people that when they leave the field or the pool or the stadium or whatever, they're still in that mode, and it's very difficult to turn that off. It was difficult for me to turn that off, and I wanted to not just be the extreme in my chosen sport, but I wanted to, it was that rush of success.
Right.
And for other people, especially in college, it was like, okay, we just had our swim meet. I need to go study for my psychology exam now. And I was like, I need some more of that feeling.
Yeah.
It's just as much that feeling, that euphoria, that attention. That is the craving. Now the drug use, and which turns into abuse, and the drinking, which turns into, days on end. But that can initially give you that rush.
Right.
It's a problem we have. Again, it's a theme in the book about it's a competition that nobody else knows they're playing, and it's a competition. There's no scoreboard.
Right.
And you find
except in your head.
You find yourself hating people that don't know you exist. You find yourself comparing yourself to people that they don't even know you're there. But it's I've got to be more. I've got to be more. I've got to be more, which turns into I got to do more. I got to do more. I got to do more.
And what also is, there's also the flip side of that. It's never enough, never enough.
And that was a lesson had to be learned, especially when it came time to get sober.
Yeah.
That I'm not one that can have one or two. And I know those incredibly weird people that buy a 6-pack and it's there for months on end.
Yeah.
I would have to buy a 6-pack to get me home with the rest of everything else that I had.
Right.
One is never enough. I mean, that's a cliche. One is never enough. 1,000 is too many.
Yeah.
And I know that for me, my sobriety, it's completely gone with one. There is no control, and that's just me being honest.
And that's the case in most cases, that's one common factor is if you are an addict, you can't even have one.
Right.
You can't.
There's more Local Biz Now with Joe Vagnone on the way from 105.9 100.7 WSIC. Local starts here.
Well, it's a story that sounds like it's starting to get old, but it really is the same old, same old. Big time heat and humidity as we kick off a brand new work week. High temperatures in the upper 90s to near 100.